Hi, welcome to this Photoshop tutorial. This tutorial we're going to try and create this. Let's press play, and it's just an animated card just flying through the air and being flipped over on this fake looking poker table, call it what you want. So the main thing is just showing you how to create this 3D object and merge them and make it look like it's got a front and a back, because if you see it's front there and it's back there. We're going to use the camera to animate it, just because it just makes life a bit easier than trying to merge two meshes. So let's get started. So let's just close the tab group for the time being, and we can close that. We'll save it, yes, and just save like that. Right, here I have two cards already made. I have the back and I have the front, and I want to turn each one of them into a postcard. So I'm just going to right click, and in CS6 you could just right click and choose postcard. Second one, right click, postcard. Now I want to find out, I'm going to go to the top one and press Control E, and that will merge the two 3D layers into one 3D object, so they interact with each other if you want them to. And you'll see that we've got two meshes here. We need to find out what's front and what's back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go like that, and they need to be spaced a little bit better, but we'll just find out what's front and back first. So we know that's front, so we'll call that front, and this, if we turn this off, that's the back. So you could just see the pattern disappearing when I turn it off, so we know which one's which. Now, while it's like that, let's go to the front, and we'll go to the coordinates. So up in the properties panel, we'll go to coordinates, and then on the Z, let's just change that to 1. Enter. And let's spin this. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So Control Z, and we'll go to scene, and we'll spin it, and that's pretty close. Now, the reason we changed the Z coordinate on one of the meshes, so basically on the front, which was the queen, not the back, which is this pattern, is because one's behind and one's in front, so that's the Z depth. So that's the one we had to change, and we just changed it by 1, as you can see, and that's just moved it 1 in forward, or we could have gone to the back and moved that -1, and that would have gone back 1, and we would have had the same result. Anyway, I've done it again. Make sure I'm seen. Right, let's now create a background for these. So my mouse is playing about, so sorry about that. File new. We're going to do 1000 by 1000, 100 resolution, so that's 100 pixels per inch, and we won't call it nothing. We'll just open it, and we're going to fill that with blue. Alt delete. Let's mouse, create a new layer, and let's Control delete to fill it with green. So the green is this color green, so there's the number, and the blue was this color blue, there's the number for that. We're going to turn this into a smart object, and then we're going to open up that smart object, and we're going to, first of all, let's go back to this working document, and let's add some noise. So filter, noise, add noise, about 4 will be fine. Click OK. Then we'll go into the smart object, so the PSB layer, and we'll close it actually, and then we'll reopen it. Let's add some adjustments layers, so I'm going to add a gradient, black to white, click OK, set the blend mode to overlay, set it to about 30%, and I'm also going to add a curves and just add a bit of contrast to it. And we could have done this with the gradient, but I just like to add the gradient and then just refine it a little bit with the curves. So it's just the way I do it. You do it however you want to do it. Close it, yes. So now we've got a bit of contrast in there. So let's turn that into a 3D object. So postcard, and let's turn it down. Now all this ground plane and the bounding boxes you can just do Control H to hide them. So let's kind of straighten that up as best we can. Let's get our card. Now we're on the move tool and we want to drag it into this. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold down Control so we get the move tool and not one of the 3D tools. Click it, drag it up to that tab, bring it down and drop it on there. So let's just pull it in position like that. And now using our 3D tools, I'm going to just make it look like it's laying down. Now you could merge this layer with the layer underneath and then you could have shadows, so you could have the shadow interacting. I'm not going to do that because then I'm going to have to animate the meshes and I just want to do it with the camera. So to do that I'm going to have to leave it as it is, but I won't get the shadow. But if you feel like animating the meshes separately so they spin at exactly the same coordinates, then you can certainly try that. Anyway, let's bring up our timeline. So window timeline, create a video timeline. On the layer 2 we'll just call this our card and we'll call this our background, BG for background. So we want our card to be animated. So we'll flick down on that. We'll set a 3D camera position. Move forward a couple of seconds. And then we want to go to current view. And if you notice, it's got like a little camera sign beside it. That means that now when we move, we use our 3D tools, we're going to be animating the camera. So I'm just going to use the rotate one and spin it round. Now it looks like it's just staying on the table and rotating, but in fact when we play it back, and what I'll do is bring our work area down somewhat, you'll see that it's where we're animating the camera, it's actually flying out and coming back. So I'm going to press play and it's going to slowly render this animation onto the timeline. If you look closely, you'll see this little green line. I've explained this before. This means that it's being rendered into memory. Once it's gone through and filled up with totally green, that whole line, it's all rendered into memory, and it will play at the frame rate, which I think is 30 frames per second, but we can check that. So where we stop the animation at 2 seconds, the last sort of second, 3/4 of a second is just static. So there you go. What we can do is we can just go through that. You can, of course, if you want, add some more animation as it's flying through. You might want to stop there, get one of your other move tools, your slide tool, or your roll tool, and animate it a bit more, but that's just getting a bit too much. We'll stick with that because it looks fine. We could create a fake shadow even, so we could duplicate this layer, rasterize it, make it a shadow, and then sort of animate the shadow on and off by using the opacity, but I haven't really got time for that. But that's just an idea for you to try if you want to try and make it look a bit more realistic. And you could make the table look more realistic, so add some more cards, maybe some poker chips. You know, you could easily create poker chips. Just so there you go. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learned something, and you will see another one from me soon. Thank you.